Hi, this is Lisa Rangel with Chameleon Resumes, the premier executive resume writing company, and thank you so much for joining me today. So today we're going to talk about 4 methods that you can use to find executive recruiters to work with. Now, I want to do a huge caution. If you are going to follow any of these 4 steps in executing your executive job search, the caution is you cannot rely on having executive recruiters help you with your job search solely as the way of doing your job search. Sources of hire studies that I've been looking at for over a decade, year after year, show that anywhere from 10 to 15% of hires happen through executive recruiters. So, and by executive recruiter, I mean a third-party recruiter. So this is really important. You need to reach out to people. You need to reach out to companies directly. You cannot depend on third-party recruiters placing you as a way for you to circumvent actually executing a job search. There's really no way of getting around doing a job search. So with that caution stated, I'm going to give you 4 methods that you can use to find executive recruiters. So the first is you can use LinkedIn. Now, the key is to have enough connections of your own. You have to have a robust connection platform of your own, over 500 connections. You will start to become in the webs, first, second, third degree webs of of executive recruiters. So now you can search. The key is to do a search. Start with the bar up top, the upper left bar, or on a desktop or a laptop, and the top on your mobile device, the top part of the app when you're in the app, and then type in executive recruiter. You can type in other variations of it. If you're not an executive, you can type in recruiter. Executive search consultant is another term that executive recruiters use to label themselves. So these are just some ways that you can find people. If you're looking in companies, just a little added tidbit, you can put in talent acquisition, director, and then add in whatever term you choose, and you should try to do it a few different ways. Then add in the discipline that you do. So it might be finance, the position that you do, it might be CFO, and a location if that matters to you. So this way you can zero in a search on those executive recruiters or executive search consultants or recruiters or talent acquisition directors that are have those phrases in their LinkedIn profile, and additionally will have either the position title for what they search for or the area of what they search for and or the geographic regions in which they're either located and or which they search within. So that's a lot of words there, but you can do all that on LinkedIn. And then the second method for you to find executive recruiters are to do similar type searches, but in a search engine. So pick the search engine of your choice, whether it's Google, whether it's Bing, DuckDuckGo, whatever it is, whatever search engine is of your fancy, and then do the same type of search. But some variations, you're going to have to use some Boolean tools. And if you're not sure what that is, you can Google Boolean, but I'm going to basically give you a basic string that you can use. And again, there's so many variations to do this, but this will at least get you started. So you can do executive recruiter in quotes. I would do minus jobs. So this way you don't get all the executive recruiter jobs that are posted out there. You'll get people by doing the negative sign, or minus sign, and then the word jobs. And then again, following with the discipline, the position, and or the location where you want to reside in doing your search, in where you want your next job to be. And this way you can look at the search results, and you'll have to tweak it. You'll have to play with it. You may have to add additional minuses for data that comes up based on maybe your specific industry or your specific discipline that you didn't think of. So you may have to take out some additional information in the search string in order to narrow down the search for what you're looking for, the people, the executive search experts, the executive recruiters that you're looking for, or corporate recruiters by, again, using phrases like talent acquisition. And again, the key is to put the phrases that should stay together in quotes. The third way of looking for or finding executive recruiters is to ask your network. Ask other senior level leaders, senior executives in your network, obviously without, alerting that you are doing a search. So it has to be people you trust. And that's why it's important to do this work beforehand. You want to do this work before you need it, kind of like food shopping before you're hungry, right? So do some of this work before you need it. And ask your network for people that they've interacted with, that they have gotten some good traction with, or they've had a good response with, and ask them for who they might recommend you speak to, and ask for an introduction. That would be the third way. The fourth way is doing a resume distribution to executive recruiters. Our company actually provides this service. And the key is, though, this cannot be relied upon as a sole way of doing a job search. I advise every client who wants to include this in the services that we do for them that it is absolutely in no way, shape, or form a magic elixir, and therefore nothing else needs to be done. All four of these steps need to be used as a strategy covering that 10 to 15% of how hires happen with executive recruiters as an overall strategy. All of these tools and tactics and methods allow you to then focus most of your time on how the majority of hires happen, which is through networking. Employer referrals, social media connections, and personal contacts account for about 60 to 65% of how hires are made. That difference, the remaining number that isn't accounted for, is usually through job postings and corporate websites. So the key is to have an overall strategy, and working with recruiters is a small part of that strategy, and the key is you want to do it well. So I hope these 4 tactics help you. I'm also running a webinar, a free training session on how to work with recruiters. And if you go to workwithexecrecruiters.com, and I'm going to put that URL up on a slide here for you in just a minute, I want you to go to that webinar, go to that URL, sign up for the training session that I'm doing. It is free, and I'm going to walk you through. I was a recruiter for 13 years, an executive recruiter for 13 years. So I'm going to walk you through how to work effectively with executive recruiters for this part of your overall executive job search strategy. And, I'm still regularly in touch with recruiters. I attend recruiter and sourcer conferences. And this is the key for you to be able to have good relationships with recruiters, executive recruiters, for this small aspect of your job search as part of an overall strategy. So go to workwithexecrecruiters.com and register for my next webinar. You'll see the date and times there. And if you have any comments or questions, feel free to either post them below or message me directly or email me at lr@chameleonresumes.com. I do my best and pride myself on replying to every email, DM, and post or comment. And if you like this video, I'm going to ask you to like it. If you know of someone who will benefit from this information, I'm going to ask you to share it. And do not forget to subscribe to next week's to the channel so you do not miss next week's video. So thank you so much for joining me today and sticking around. And I look forward to your comments below. And have a great one. Until next week, take care.